The annual Maximum Lawyer State of the Firm survey is officially live and open until November 16th. This is your chance to see exactly how your firm stands up against others across the country, what they're spending, where they're getting clients, what's actually working right now. It's faster and more impactful than ever, and when you complete it, you'll get the full report for free, plus be entered to win a $500 Amazon gift card. Results and winner will be presented live on January 8th at 2 p.m. Central Time in the Maximum Lawyer Facebook group. Head to maxlawsurvey.com to be a part of the most influential report shaping the future of law firm ownership.
Get ready, because here's your host, Tyson Mutrix.
Welcome to the Guild Live Show. I'm Tyson Mutrix, and I've got a really good one today. We're going to be going through a few different things. A new study on clicks being crushed. I'll get into that in a little bit. A newsletters report, which is going to be an interesting thing for those of you that send out newsletters. There's a YouTube makeover. That's something that is going to be interesting. AI booking has hit the market. So that's a new thing. And then the next thing we're going to go over is smart splits. Those of you that use TikTok, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about probably already. That's also something that's going to be rolled out in YouTube Shorts as well. So good stuff there. All right, the first story what we're going to get to is crushing clicks. So Google's AI overviews are actually crushing clicks. That's really kind of an interesting thing. So the organic click-through rate is down 61%. That's incredible. Paid click-through rate is down 68%. Those numbers are startling. And there was actually two different articles that were written on this. They're both from it's search engine land. If you don't follow search engine land, I definitely recommend that you do so. They do a lot of research on this, as you might imagine, with the URL being what it is. And I've talked about them before. So, but this one is from Seer New Interactive, and the data shows that AI overviews are siphoning clicks across both SEO and PPC, and that's even when the AI overviews don't appear. So if you're still measuring your success by traffic, you're going to miss the real shift that's happening right now. If that's all if you're just focusing on traffic and nothing else, you're missing the whole game. The whole game is changed substantially. So there's another recent study that's from BrightEdge. They found that AI overviews have surged to 26% coverage in September. So the results of this have been delayed by a couple months now that we're in November, but it's settling right between, I guess, 9% in October. So with the whole idea is you need to focus on bottom of the funnel conversions, because that's where things remain with the classic search. So for example, what I mean by that is that if you're doing research, so if the potential client's doing research, that's more of the top of the funnel. That's where you're seeing where all of the clicks have been suppressed. They're not going to the attorney's website. And I'm just using law firms as an example, but they're not using the law firm's website as research as much as, finding an attorney near me, That's the bottom of the funnel. That's where you need to be focusing most of your time. And that's where what they're talking about in these articles. There's 3 key points, and I'll give you some takeaways. So expect fewer clicks everywhere. That's one of the things. Expect fewer clicks. You're going to expect lower traffic. So informational queries with AI overviews, that's where they're going to be doing all that research, right? So that's a 61% organic click-through rate drop from like just general searches doing research. And that's where you have the 68%, the paid click-through rate has dropped. So those are, like I said, those are startling numbers. And it also says that even without AI overviews, even without those, organic click-through rate fell 41%. So shift KPIs towards visibility, share of voice, and then lead quality. I think the reason why you're seeing the organic click-through rate falling as well is you're probably seeing a lot of that those searches being done inside of the LLMs themselves. Another key point is about rebalancing the funnel. So since AI overviews are now dominating the research part of it, focusing on that bottom of the funnel. So hire an attorney, focus on words that you're using, hire or near me. Those are going to be some focuses. So if you're paying for ads, use that. If you're focused on SEO, use that, because that's going to be still going to convert just like traditional SEOs worked over the years. So you're going to still be focusing on those. And then we're focused on building answer engines in your content. That's something we've been talking about in the guild for a little bit, where you have your general topic, and then you build into that. We actually have all this posted in the guild, inside the guild in Kajabi, where we give essentially the game plan. Here's the game plan. Here's how your pages should look. And one of those key parts is having the answers built in. So the list of questions, traditionally what you'd have is like a Q&A page, but on these, you're going to have your general topic and then all of the questions and answers below that. That's going to be built in there. That way it's going to be helping with the conversion. And then you're going to want to rethink your pay-per-click. Move the budget around a little bit, where you're going to go from those broad inquiries. You're going to move away from those and then focus more on, I would even consider, I'm not telling you should or shouldn't at this point, you need to do your own research. Consider moving away from pay-per-click completely. So Google ads, and then maybe more towards like the LSAs. This is where it might make more sense, because that is more bottom of the funnel. The LSAs is more bottom of the funnel. And then that way you're gonna bypass all that click decay. So those are some of the key points. And then, takeaways. So, make sure you have those research answers built in, more closer to the bottom of the funnel types of questions, not top of the funnel, because they're not being used as much, unless the idea is that you're going to be showing up more in the LLMs. That's part of the strategy too. So you should still have that content. So don't go completely away from that content. So focus more on the term share of voice and not just clicks. So you got to make sure you do that. That's a big part of it. And then I would say, just as just to start testing things out, like pick, top 5, your top 5 informational topics, and then create some concise answer engines on each of those pages. So let's say you're a estate planning attorney, and got a page about trusts, maybe. So that's more that informational top, that one of the top 5 informational ones. And what are like those top 5 questions that you get, and then get some answers put into more bottom of funnel types. Bottom of funnel might be, how do I determine the best kind of an attorney to hire, types of questions. Those are more of those bottom of the funnel, knowing, because you know that they're looking for an attorney, right? They're not just trying to do the will on their own and doing research about whether they need a will or a trust. They want to hire an attorney. So that's more of that bottom of the funnel. There is a really interesting chart that they show on this it's really kind of incredible. It shows the paid or organic click-through rates trends over the last 12 months. That's a really interesting one. What it has is, you've got from September 2025, it goes all the way back to October 2024, and you can see the shift in the click-through rates. I definitely recommend that you check that out. That's something that is it's quite an interesting thing. But let's get into our next story. That's our main story. So the other ones I'm going to move through fairly quickly. This next one is from HubSpot. It's HubSpot's 2025 State of Newsletters. And the whole point of this one is they talk about personalization pays, but opinionated content wins. This is one that is, if you're doing newsletters, you're going to want to make sure you check it out. So they surveyed 400 plus newsletter pros. So these are people that are sending out, regular newsletters on a frequent basis. And they found that personalization correlates with higher revenue. That's an interesting thing. Notice they said correlate, not causation. That's part of this. Mixed media and opinionated content drive the best opens and clicks. 42% of the people that are sending out these newsletters say that AI saves about 1 to 3 hours weekly. And LinkedIn and Facebook lead distribution. That's an interesting thing too. That's an interesting part about that. They recommend that you start maybe doing weekly. One of the things you could do is case insights. I'm sort of interpreting a little bit for the article, but what you could do for the firm is more of a case insights email with really talk about from the point of view of the law firm, or you as the lawyer. Personally, I think you should focus more on you as the lawyer, as the owner, is because you can get definitely more personal. But if you do have that type of a firm where your firm culture, Kevin Chaney kind of comes to mind, where his employees, it's almost like they take this approach where everyone owns the firm together, and the employees are out front and center when it comes to some of the marketing. That's kind of the type that I think of when I think of Kevin Chaney. You would more point of view of those people, maybe mix in some charts, make sure you only have one call to action. These are things that I'm pulling from the survey. So, only one call to action, not multiple calls to action. And then maybe you segment it by case types. So that's some interesting information from there. Use AI to draft, but just make sure that your opinion is injected into it. That's another big part of this. And then, so make sure that personality plus personalization, that's something that definitely beats more of a bland updates kind of a newsletter. That's kind of a boring thing. Make sure you're using very vivid visuals. So we're putting out big statistics. That's something that works really, really well when it comes to putting these things together. So that is all I have when it comes to that one. You should check that one out. I only wanted to point out a few things on this in particular, but let's get into the YouTube makeover. This is what's really interesting to me. And there's 3 different articles that I looked at when it came to this one. They are a big part of this is they're going to upscale, what they're calling AI upscale, a lot of the videos. So a lot of the videos that are lower quality, there is a caveat to this, which I'll get to in a little bit, but they're upscaling a lot of the older videos that are not of high quality, and they're using AI to do it. That's a big part of this. They're increasing the size limits of the thumbnails. That's another interesting part of this too. That way you can have higher quality thumbnails. It's a really, really important part of this. What I think is the most important part of all of this, though, is there is going to be, that's already started to roll out, a massive redesign of the TV friendly YouTube, where it's going to look a lot more like Netflix, where a big part of that too is contextual search. So if you are let's say you're inside of a YouTube channel we'll just use Mr. Beast because he's the most well-known. Say you're in the middle of Mr. Beast's YouTube channel and you're searching it while you're inside of that channel. Currently what happens is you search and it'll show you videos from all over YouTube. It's going to shift where it's more contextual, and it's going to show you more from Mr. Beast's YouTube channel because you're inside that channel. To me, that makes a lot more sense. It should have been that way from the beginning, but that's another big part of what they're going to be doing. They're going to make this more of a polished TV experience. That's a really kind of an interesting part of this. I do wonder how this is going to work, because you already have a platform that works well. And you have a platform that is, people have been shifting away from traditional television for years. And I think it's interesting that they're shifting more towards traditional type of TV. I think that makes sense because of some of the things I've noticed where I've been fed more and more, movies on YouTube TV. And I don't know if that's, or not YouTube TV, but on YouTube. And I don't know if that's because I have a premium subscription or not. I actually don't know. I don't know the difference. I don't know what people that don't have a premium subscription show, but I have wondered how long it's going to take them to kind of do this. And so that part makes a little bit of sense, but it also makes me wonder why the shift, given that people are already moving to YouTube from major platforms. So the caveat I was going to talk about when it comes to the upscaling, you can actually opt out if you don't want the upscaling. I don't know why you wouldn't want the upscaling unless it dramatically changes things. To me, it makes sense. My guess is they'll probably show those more often anyways if they are upscaled, because if it's a lower quality, they may not want to do that. So again, the key, I'm gonna go over the key features with you. The expanded thumbnails, we talked about that. 2 megabytes to 50 megabytes. I know a megabyte's not that much, but I mean, increase from 2 to 50 is a pretty big increase. They're going to have a new AI-powered feature that automatically generates higher resolutions for videos. The flip through favorite YouTube channels with immersive previews on the homepage. This is going to be where it's like Netflix. That part's interesting. You're going to have the contextual search that I talked about. That's on TVs. It sounds like it's specifically to TVs and not on both of the Netflix change and then the contextual search. Sounds like that's only going to be on TVs for some reason. I don't know why it's not going to be on phones as well. And then you're going to have viewers are going to be able to scan a shopping QR code to instantly open the product page on their phone. That's an interesting change too. I have also noticed, you all can't see this, but inside of StreamYard, which we stream from, there is a QR code. And so the QR code and that's something that they added in the last, I don't know, month or so. And I kind of wondered why that was, but that's something that apparently a lot of these streaming services are shifting to. So there we go. All right, let's move on to another interesting develop from Google. Lots of Google stuff today. And this is where Google's AI mode can now book tickets and appointments for you. And this is from TechCrunch. This is the reason why I find this one relevant to us is because you're going to start to have people booking appointments with us through, if this is an option that you offer. This is not an option that we currently offer. I'm not saying we're completely against it, but this is not an option that we currently offer. We have no plans to offer this. However, if that's the way people are going, don't be surprised if you start to have AI scheduling appointments for you. Not really for you. I guess if you, obviously you can use it yourself, but this is, I think I can see easily in the future, you have someone going in and saying, I need a personal injury attorney, schedule an appointment for me with the best attorney. I could completely seeing that and then having agents doing it. David Terry, I got your message. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. He says, watching you looking sharp this morning. Really appreciate it. That's a very nice message. I like to see that during the show, but thanks, David Terry. But I do think when it comes to this new AI mode, you're going to see this odd shift where people are just going to say, hey, go find me the best attorney. And they're going to book these appointments for them and us sometimes. So some of the details, let me give you some of the details. Google added agentic actions to AI mode in search, letting users request real-time options and jump straight to booking pages. So you're skipping through all the other nonsense. You say, this is what I need, and it jumps straight to it. I like that. That sounds amazing to me. Okay, well, I'm not having to, let me think about this. How many times have you gone to a booking site, you name it, hotel, rental car, airport, or airline, whatever it is. And then you have to re-enter the information again and re-enter the information. You just say, hey, I need tickets from STL to, Phoenix for these dates. So November 8th through the 12th, I'd prefer to leave in the morning, yada, yada, yada. It just boom, jump straight to the booking page. It figures you give it the details. It might ask you some questions, boom, done. That sounds amazing to me. Sounds pretty good. And then, so they did have some earlier agentic tests, and those handled restaurant reservations. And I think I did talk about restaurant reservations a few months ago. This, however, expands that to more of, and that was more in like the answers part of it, to the actual we're shifting to more of a transactions. Okay. Where they're getting to the point where booking a reservation is one thing, but we're going to make some payments. Okay. We're getting to the point where you can make the payments. I will say in OpenAI, their version of the agent, and I'm kind of drawing a blank. I'm going to try to pull this up and remember what the name of it is. I'm drawing a blank on what they called it, but they had their agent that you could deploy from inside of ChatGPT. And you can actually from inside of ChatGPT, but I actually had it book my airline tickets to Hawaii. I had to give it the credit card information, but it actually went through and filled that information out for me and hit the submit button. I was monitoring it as it was doing it. It was asking me questions as I was doing it, but it was an interesting thing. So this isn't a brand new thing. However, they've gone a step further where this is more, it's, on the Google search page. It's one of those things where you can hit AI overview and it's right there. It gives you that option right away. So that's coming. So prepare for book consultation directly from AI mode. I think that's something that's going to probably be coming. So make sure that if you do this, Make sure you have your scheduling links there, hours, services, all of that's crawlable, and those are ready to go, and that there's no issues. You're going to want to make sure you're testing out all of that. I noticed months ago, Google made it, and it seemed a little more visible, the booking things for attorneys, the booking options. So make sure all of that is updated. But all right, let's get to our last story, and that is those of you that are big TikTok people, but this is more YouTube and TikTok. There's a couple articles that I was looking at when it comes to this. This one is from The Verge. There was a couple from The Verge that I was looking at, but they seem to focus primarily on TikTok. But YouTube has some features as well. So I talked about the YouTube Makeover. There's more from them. YouTube and TikTok roll out AI tools for faster content creation and TV style viewing. I did find this one very, very, very interesting because there's already some platforms that offer what they're offering, but they're essentially cutting out the middleman is what they're doing. And what you have here is TikTok's new smart split auto chops long videos into multiple shorts, AI outline drafts, titles, hooks, and scripts. So you have, let's say you upload a podcast. Riverside is something is one of the platforms that already does this. So we record inside of Riverside for the podcast whenever we're doing a remote interview, and it will cut a lot of the stuff up for us for social media. It's not always great. It does a pretty decent job though, but it'll draft titles, hooks, scripts, all of that inside of TikTok now. It says TikTok also boosted subscription revenue share up to 90% for creators who meet stricter thresholds. That's an interesting part of this too. For TV screens, YouTube is adding AI upscaling, which I talked about before, larger 4K thumbnails. I didn't mention the 4K thumbnails, but that is something that they're testing for bigger channels. It's not something that they're doing for everybody yet, but they are testing the idea of 4K thumbnails only with the bigger channels right now. The QR shopping, which I was talked about, and then shows format that organizes channels into seasons and episodes. When it comes to the smart split, it automatically slices long videos into short clips and captions and vertical reframing. So let's say you record a show or a video or something that you do in more of the portrait view or landscape view. It will automatically reframe it for vertical reframing. It's interesting. And then like I said, the AI outline drafts those hooks and those scripts, which is interesting. So you can what you'll be able to do is turn, those 30 to 60 minute webinars or podcasts or videos into, 10 to 15 short clips every week. And then you could use the AI outline to speed your scripting and your calls to action for different case types. That's something you'll be able to do. You'll be able to repackage your channels into more bingeable shows. That's something when it comes to YouTube, you're going to be able to do, maybe, season one is, insurance tricks. That's maybe season one. And so you can do things like that when it comes to, personal injury or criminal defense. Maybe if you do, I don't know if anybody does, town halls, but the webinars is a really big thing. Some people do, local shows like Brooks Derrick has his show that he does where he goes around and has a meal with a business owner or whatever. That's something that can be cut into smaller clips pretty easily. Really kind of interesting. I think it's one of those ones that they're trying to, there's so many other platforms out there that do many of these things, and I think they're trying to cut that out. But that is all I have for you this week. Really appreciate you doing it, and really appreciate you all watching. Hopefully, I want to thank Amy. We call her Max Law Amy because I've got my Amy. Max Law Amy is actually she's running everything for me when it comes to the graphics, which is fantastic. So thank you, Amy. It makes it a lot easier. So I'm not having to click around to a lot of different things, but really appreciate it. Have a great week, everybody. And remember to go to, it is maxwellsurvey.com. That way we can do the state of the firm survey. We will be doing those, releasing those results in, I think, January. I may be wrong about that. I'll make sure I get those dates. I mentioned it last week, but I'll mention it again. maxwellsurvey.com. It is live. So make sure that you are completing that, because we want to make sure we get it out to as many people. That way we have the absolute best data possible. So have a great week, everybody. We will see you.
Real quick, before you head out, have you checked out the Guild yet? If you've been listening to this podcast or hanging out in the Maximum Lawyer Facebook group, you've probably heard us mention it. But if you haven't taken the next step, let me tell you, you're missing the best part of this community. The Guild is where law firm owners like you go to level up. It's not just more content. It's a powerful mix of weekly live trainings, group coaching, accountability, and a tight-knit community of people who actually get what you're building. You'll be able to tap into real conversations with people who are in the trenches with you, scaling their firms, testing ideas, solving problems, and growing fast. If you're serious about building a firm that runs like a business and not just a job, this is where you want to be. Go to maxlawguild.com and take that next step. We'll see you inside.